Hey, what's good, everybody? I'd like to welcome you all to a brand new video on I Am Nelson 89. So today, I wanted to talk about two albums from one of my favorite metal bands, and that is Voivod. So I've been on a Voivod kick recently, man, because I recently found out from a friend that they're actually working on a documentary for them called We Are Connected. And I don't know, it just put me on a whole Voivod kick for the past week or so. But there's two albums in particular that I really wanted to highlight today, and that will have to be Angel Rat and The Outer Limits. Both of these were released in the early 1990s, and I think that both of these records are probably two of the most interesting albums in Voivod's discography, and they're honestly becoming two of my favorites. I've been listening to them so much here on repeat lately, and every time I listen to them, I keep finding new things to really enjoy about both of these albums. Man, they're just remarkable records. So, without any further ado, let's get into this. We're gonna start with Angel Rat as the first album I wanted to highlight. So, Angel Rat was released on November the 12th, 1991. And this was the last album that featured bassist Blackie until he rejoined the band in 2008, although he did leave again in 2014. And Angel Rat, well, what I like most about this album is that it was different. It was different. It was a big departure from the previous record, Nothing Face, which is considered Voivod's magnum opus. This record, while it did retain the progression that the band was steadily building upon with each album, starting with Killing Technology, and you could say actually reaching that peak with Nothing Face. It's not really a progressive thrash metal album. It's definitely it's more of a progressive rock album with a lot of these 70s inspired takes on it. Man, it's a trippy ride. It's got psychedelia. There's even a little bit of funkiness in some of the rhythms. It's got this really cool 70s groove all around it. And it even takes a different direction subject matter wise because, the previous records always built upon, sci-fi themes, futuristic themes, as well as post-apocalyptic subject matter. And Angel Rat was different from that. Don't get me wrong, there is that kind of sci-fi theme is still intact on this record. But subject matter wise, they do some different things. I mean, some key songs I wanted to point out. The first official track, because the album does start off with an intro, but the first official track called Panorama. One thing that really stuck out to me about this song was that I feel that it has sort of like a mid to late 70s Black Sabbath vibe to it. And for me, Snake vocally, I feel that he sounds a little bit like Ozzy on this song in some parts. There's some parts that remind me of that mid to late 70s era of Black Sabbath, and it just reminds me of like Ozzy a little bit the way he sings, on this song in particular. But then going to another song that really stuck out to me is Clouds in My House, which I believe was a single. I know they did shoot a video to this song as well. But I think this is an awesome song, man. It's one of the highlights of the album. It's very beautiful. It's a little heavy, but it's very melodic and beautiful, man. I especially like the ending part of it, where it kind of just builds upon the melodies, and Snake's vocal performance on there is just awesome on this song. And that's another thing I like about this record. Snake, he actually sings a lot more. I mean, he started doing that more with on Nothing Face, but it's very more prominent on this album as far as his singing voice. And he has a great singing voice. And it's very unique in a lot of ways. Then we go to there's another song here called The Prowl, which that song is actually about a pirate who is paying homage to a ship. And even before I really found out what the song was about, I always felt that it kind of had like a sort of like a pirate vibe to it. And there's even this breakdown, this really cool breakdown in this song where there's an accordion that comes through and plays that really gives it even more of that feeling of, a pirates and so forth, man. But a really interesting song as well. And then Twin Dummy is probably the most interesting song on here as far as subject matter too. It's kind of a creepy story about this circus dummy that gets left behind by the circus, and the whole song is sung and the story is told from the perspective of that dummy. So that was a really cool song as well that I enjoyed on this album. But yeah, initially when Angel Rat was released, I think it got like a mixed reaction from a lot of people because it wasn't what Nothing Face was. You know, it's not heavy as Nothing Face, and there's more emphasis put on songwriting and structure with this record as opposed to the more like complex riffing and time signatures that we got on Nothing Face. There's just more of a songwriting perspective on this record, and it's a bit more catchier too. It's a bit more catchier. There's a lot of songs on here that I find myself sometimes singing. There's one song on here called Olem that I really did, or excuse me, not Olem. It's called Golem, but man, it's a really cool song. This is a really cool psychedelic song. It's got like this really neat 70s groove involved into it. That's the thing about this record. A lot of the songs on here seem to take a lot of emphasis from, 70s prog rock as well as, the 70s psychedelia era. But I think Angel Rat is a very interesting album and one of the most interesting albums in Voivod's discography, and one that I think that a lot of people should check out and really assess and see what a great album it is. And like I said, it initially got mixed reactions when it was released, but it has obtained a pretty strong cult following amongst Voivod fans. So the next album we're going to talk about is The Outer Limits. And you know something, I got to be honest with you, I think The Outer Limits is probably going to go down. It's probably one of, if not the my favorite Voivod album. I've been listening to this album a lot. I always kind of look at this album as somewhat of an extension of Nothing Face because it's not built upon like the more 70s influence that Angel Rat have, although it does still take some essence from it with the more melody, but they kind of return back to that heavier side. They return back to that more heavier sound that they had on the previous records, and they bring back a lot of those complex rhythms. A lot of those they're continuing the progressive elements, but they're bringing back a lot of those complex rhythms and time signatures that we heard on Nothing Face and the mentioned Hatred. They're bringing a lot of that stuff back, and I also kind of feel like The Outer Limits could almost be like an extension of Nothing Face in some cases, because there are some songs on here that I listen to and I feel as though that they could have possibly fit in on Nothing Face if that was the plan. Like there's some songs on here that I just really feel like that would have fit right in place on the album Nothing Face, because it just has that vibe, man. And the futuristic sci-fi elements are making a return as well. It just has that vibe to me. But to continue on, looking at my notes here, some key songs on here that I really enjoy is the Now song, which is a Pink Floyd cover, and I gotta say that Voivod do a wonderful job when it comes to covers. This isn't the first Pink Floyd they've actually covered. They did Astronomy Domain on Nothing Face, which was really good, and they do the Now song on this album, and they really make this song into their own. It doesn't really sound like a cover. Sometimes when I listen to this song, I even forget that it's actually a Pink Floyd cover. But Voivod really do a great job at making this song into their own, and it doesn't feel out of place. A lot of times when bands do cover songs on their albums, it can a lot of times break up the cohesiveness of the record and stick out like a sore thumb. But the Now song doesn't do that. It fits very perfectly in with the rest of the songs that appear on this record. So shout out to Voivod for making another awesome Pink Floyd cover, man. To be honest with you, I actually enjoy Voivod's version more than Pink Floyd's. So another song on here that I really dig is The Lost Machine, and it's one of the heaviest songs on the album. It's got some awesome riffs along with some complex rhythms and time signatures. This is another song that I could see that could have fit perfectly on Nothing Face, and it's just great, man. It's just heavy. It's starting to creep back in some more of those, kind of progressive thrash metal elements as well. And, of course, it's keeping up with the futuristic, sci-fi themes as well. But just another awesome song here that I really dig and one of my favorites. And then we get to in my opinion, the best song on the album, and what is considered by a lot of fans to be Voivod's greatest song ever, and that is Jack Luminous. It's a 17-minute and a half epic song, and it is considered, like I said, it's considered to be Voivod's greatest song. It's a heavy progressive metal song with some complex time signatures, and it goes through these different unique musical passages, man, because the song actually starts off one way, and then it'll switch up and change to like almost a totally different song. It's like having all these different types of songs kind of molded into one track. But it's just an awesome song, and it's one of the highlights of the record. It's one of the highlights of Voivod's career. And honestly, I think that you should check out The Outer Limits just alone because of Jack Luminous, because that is just such a wonderful song, man. But as a whole, I think that The Outer Limits is just a great record. And in some cases, I kind of feel like maybe this is the record that should have came out after Nothing Face. Maybe Angel Rat and The Outer Limits could have switched places or something as far as like the release dates. But all in all, man, it's a wonderful record, man. But in conclusion, man, I think that Angel Rat and I think that The Outer Limits are two of Voivod's greatest records. I think they hold up just as well as the records that they put out in the 80s. I will put both of these records up there along with Killing Technology and Dimension Hatred and Nothing Face. I think those records are really, I think they really just form a great period in Voivod's history, man. It seems to be like the band was on a roll and that it was on a huge creative peak at that moment, man. And they just turned out some great material. And before I end, I wanted to also mention that The Outer Limits, it was the first album that they did without Blackie. Of course, he left right after the recording of the previous record, Angel Rat. He left before the record even came out. And so this record, they decided to have a session musician come in and play bass because they didn't feel comfortable with replacing Blackie at that time. So they had a guy named Pierre St. John come in and play bass. And this was also the last album that they did with Snake until 2002 when he returned to the band. And maybe in a later video I'll talk about those next two albums that they did with Eric Force, the E Force era, because those are some pretty solid albums as well. But yes, man, I just wanted to take the time to highlight these two particular albums in Voivod's discography because I've been listening to them the most on my Voivod kick. I guess because initially when I bought them, I didn't really pay much attention to them, but now going back and revisiting these records, they've become two of my favorite Voivod albums, man, and they're just remarkable records. The music on here is awesome, and I highly recommend anybody to go and check out both of these albums. And that is Angel Rat. That's Angel Rat. Hope you can see that real good. Angel Rat and The Outer Limits, man. Definitely go check out both of these records. And The Outer Limits recently just got a vinyl reissue too. Just recently got a vinyl. I think they're all sold out though. But yeah, man, these are some great records, man. And I think they're two of the best in Voivod's career in their history. So without any further ado, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to this brand new video. I appreciate everybody that's been watching my videos, that's subscribed to the channel, and be sure to hit that thumbs up. Be sure to share this video, and be sure to tune into my channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I drop new videos. And until I drop my next video, hey, feel free to check out all my other videos. I got tier lists on here. I got albums ranked videos. I got CD collection videos, and I have some podcast episodes that I've done that I was doing earlier this year as well. So definitely check those out. And I appreciate the support. And as always, I hope everybody has a blessed day and a blessed week. And as always, love, peace, and music. Peace out.